the phone never rang. Beast on the beats, no claws, no fang.
July has come, June has finished. I watched and read so many things. My consumption of most of this content has happened within the last 4 days of June, where I was ill. And all I did was read and watch stuff.
Bring your crew, invite the whole gang.
The first book I'm going to talk about today, I just finished this morning. I am so excited about it. This is my favorite book, I think, of the year so far. The UNHOONEYMOONERS by CHRISTINA Lauren. I'm so glad I waited until I did to read The UNHOONEYMOONERS because I needed a rom-com in this sad, sick recovery moment. I was relaxed. I was able to just like sit and read this. It's been so long since I laughed when I was reading. I've just been very stressed this entire year. I feel like with like the release of my debut novel and all this anxiety, I'm coming down from that stress and I'm ready to work on new things now and I'm ready to read again. And so I picked up the CHRISTINA Lauren books I've been hoarding for this moment. This is my favorite. I love it so much. And I was so happy reading it the whole time. I was cackling to myself. Just around every corner in this book, there was just like another unexpected joke I didn't see coming and found hilarious. Even ones that I've seen like kind of before were just executed so well. I loved this book. What a perfect summer read. You know, it's been so long since I woke up and then just read all morning because I wanted to. It was so good. Basically, all you need to know is hate to love rom-com. I'm glad I knew nothing. I think in the synopsis it must say what happens in the first couple of chapters, and I think it's better going and knowing nothing. You don't need to know. I'm so excited for the day this gets made into a movie. It would just be beautiful, wonderful, it's perfect. It's my favorite CHRISTINA Lauren. This is my 4th CHRISTINA Lauren book I've read. While I really enjoy Josh and Hazel and Roomies, they didn't hit me in the heart like this one did. Like, this is my favorite. You know what I'm saying? You would really enjoy books, but then there are books that are like, hit you in the favorite place in your heart. You're like, this is amazing. I love it. This gets an A+++++. I'm so glad I gave myself the treat of reading this new CHRISTINA Lauren book. If you're looking for an amazing summer read, pick this baby up. Pick it up. Pick it up. Do it. And don't read the synopsis. It's gonna be way more fun that way. I think like I accidentally heard a bit of what happens in the beginning a while back, and I'm glad I didn't remember it, and then it was so funny. I wasn't expecting this to hit me so hard in the feels, too. I ended the book just being like, Next, moving right along, I saw Spider-Man last night, the new Spider-Man Far Away from Home. I managed to avoid every and all trailers for this movie, which I think is a huge accomplishment. Thank you very much. I know. I love Spider-Man. I don't know if you were here for when I reviewed Spider-Man Homecoming, but that's my favorite Spider-Man movie now. I really enjoyed the film. It was a lot. When I came out of it, I felt like I needed time to process because so much happened, and it left off where we're waiting for the next one again. It was one of those endings where you're like, are you shitting me? I was stressed out in this movie. The villain in this film is the type of bad guy that scares the shit out of me. People with his abilities come up in various novels and TV series that I've watched before, and they always scare the shit out of me. And so it was hard for me to gauge how I felt about this movie again because of that. I was like, I hate this. This was definitely a Peter Parker film as opposed to a Spider-Man film, which I really enjoyed. That was one of my favorite bits of it, all the Peter Parker bits with his class. I loved that. I love the travel. I love all the stuff with Ned. I love all the stuff with his aunt and Happy. I love his relationship with Happy. I love all the stuff with Tony. I love how emotional the film gets. I cried. It was great, but I didn't love it as much as I love Spider-Man Homecoming. I think there's something about how fast the pacing is that maybe I didn't like as much. I like when we chill in the character moments, and while we had a lot of character moments, I feel like it was like, go, 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 go. And that's kind of expected knowing this plot. There's a lot to do in 2 hours, but I just prefer, I think, a little slower pace. Does anyone feel that when they're watching this movie? Like you were being thrown around. I really loved the opening. I loved so many things. There's so much humor in this film, and that's one of my favorite parts of the new Spider-Man film. In short, this film was, with great power comes great responsibility, and they did it so beautifully without saying that out loud. I left the theater seething about the villain and very excited for the next one. I'm gonna give Far From Home an A-. The next book I read this month was another rom-com by Christina Lauren, and that is Twice in a Blue Moon. This book's not actually out yet. It comes out in October, and I love this Christina Lauren. These two Christina Lauren books are by far my favorite thus far. I still have a bunch to read. Now I'm really craving them, so might dive into another. We'll see. So Twice in a Blue Moon has all my favorite things in it. Daddy issues, second chance romance, Hollywood stuff. I had such a great time reading it. The reason why that it's not tied with UNHOONEYMOONERS for me, and it's a different tone. It's not as funny as the UNHOONEYMOONERS, but it has a lot of heart and romance and cutesiness and family stuff. The UNHOONEYMOONERS has a lot of family stuff too, which I also love. But Twice in a Blue Moon, like, I wasn't cackling. I was just like, while I was reading it the whole time. I was so excited to see what happened next. The thing with Twice in a Blue Moon is it ends and I'm like, hey, Christina Lauren, I want like 3 or 4 more chapters. I need that. I need a little bit more. It just ended and I was like, hey, I'm not done. Excuse me. Hello. So Twice in a Blue Moon is amazing. It's just one of those books that leaves you wanting more. And yeah, okay, as an author, you always want to leave the audience wanting more. But like, just a little bit more. Can we have a little bit? Just a couple more. I got to near the end and I was like, hey. It doesn't look like I have enough here for what I need. Where's the rest? Oh, it was kind of like, you know that feeling when you get to the end of Just One Day by Gail Forman and you're like, hey, and then you get to the last page and you're like, hey, I loved this, but where's my epilogue? We eventually got one from Gail. I'm really hoping maybe the final copy, Christina Lauren, will have an epilogue or just another chapter, just one more chapter. Read it. It comes out October 22nd, 2019. Now, let's get to talking about the season of the CW show that's confuddled us all. Riverdale Season 3. I can't not talk about this. I'm only 7 episodes in and I'm like, what the actual fucking fork flop flippin' is going on? It's just like thing after thing after thing this season. I'm just like, what are you doing? Just the whole idea that this season Veronica has opened up a speakeasy for teenagers under Pops is blowing my mind. Like, what do you mean? She literally opened up a bar that doesn't sell alcohol and is expecting to make money. And then when they're not making money, she's like, why aren't we making money? Like, you literally run a bar with no alcohol under a diner. What were you expecting? Archie's in jail this season and we're like, what's happening? I think he's in juvie, but the stuff that goes down in it is all the most extreme, dramatic, random shit that you've seen in well-developed prison stories and novels, all thrown into one. Like, straight out of Orange is the New Black, they're like, let's have a peaceful game of kickball. At this prison kickball game, Veronica brings all the cheerleaders from the high school and they just start doing like a fucking musical number next to the prison. Nothing makes any sense. Random areas of places just look like a castle. Like, I just don't know what's going on. Every decision is like, what were you thinking when you made this? Archie and Jughead are like running away from home. They're at this farm and they go into town to like explore the area. The town is like abandoned. But of course there's like an old lady in a chair in the midst of all the nothing, ready to tell Jughead exactly what's going on. There's like girls playing in the back of a random abandoned truck. It feels very Teen Wolfy, but in the most random, out of place way. You know, I dug the first episode. I could see it being like creepy and weirdly magic, but they've convoluted that storyline so much. Usually I could get on board with the weirdness and be like, ha ha ha, this is stupid, but it's so fucking weird and random and nonsensical that I have to take breaks. I have to be like, oh god, I can't even deal with this right now. The next movie that I saw this month was ROCKETMAN. So ROCKETMAN stars the kid from Kingsman as Elton John, and he did such a fantastic job. I really loved learning about Elton John. My favorite of his songs is That's Why They Call It the Blues. It has a cameo, but it's not one of like the main musical numbers, which, if you didn't know, ROCKETMAN's a musical. Not expecting that, but it's a full-blown like musical, baby, which I really enjoyed, but also was wasn't expecting. And at moments, I think it played a little funky. Like, the beginning was a little rocky when they were going into the musical number. Like, whoa, what's going on? But then by the end of it, I was like, this is so good, though. I didn't know Elton John's song Crocodile Rock was called Crocodile Rock, or that Elton sang it. I think that was my favorite number. Oh wait, no, ROCKETMAN. I don't know. I love the ROCKETMAN sequence in the film. I think that was so well done and creative. What a great unexpected way to bring in that song and beautifully establish the headspace that Elton was in that time of his life. I'd give it an A-. It does what it wants to do so well. The final book that I read this month was The Red Scrolls of Magic by Cassandra, Clare, and Wesley Chu. This was our Booksplosion book of the month. We did a live show discussion on our Booksplosion channel. If you don't know, July's book of the month is King of Scars by Leigh Bardugo. Our live show is scheduled for August 1st on the Booksplosion channel if you want to join us. The Red Scrolls of Magic has taken me a while to get to. I'm so glad I finally read it. I'm finally in the know. The Red Scrolls of Magic takes place in between City of Glass and City of Fallen Angels. That kind of overlaps with City of Fallen Angels when we don't see Alec and Magnus because they're off on their vacation together. We see their journey through phone calls with them at the beginning of City of Fallen Angels, but we don't actually see what went down, and this is what went down. It wasn't exactly the vacation we imagined from their pictures and texts. I really liked getting to be there for the foundations of Alec and Magnus's relationship. This is their first official together thing that they did. It was so interesting reading it, knowing what happens next, because there's so many books since then. I feel like we miss a big chunk of Malik development between where we see them in Shadowhunter Academy and TDA. You know, it feels like shit has gone down and we don't know what that shit was. And that's what we're going to be seeing in the Elder Curses. The next book is going to take place, I believe, in between the gap of City of Heavenly Fire and TDA, and I think the last one will take place after TDA. Helen and Aline show up in this book, and we get to see how they met. We also get to see more with Magnus and his father, which is a theme we see in City of Heavenly Fire, like this build up to his father, but without this pretense, we don't really feel the significance of what happens in City of Heavenly Fire. This gives you the backstory to appreciate that. I think this is a setup for something way more epic to come in the other two books in this series. That's usually how Cassie rolls. The first, it doesn't seem like too serious. It doesn't seem like you really need that story. And then you go further into it and you're like, whoa! It just starts to build and things get more and more intense and amazing. That's how all the short story collections go. You get deeper and you're like, whoa, okay, oh my god, whoa. I feel like I have to give it an 85 because I didn't have that drive to keep reading because I knew it was gonna be okay. Like, I knew the future. It was still really well done, as always, had great dialogue. The next movie I saw this month was The Matrix. It only took 19 years. When did it come out? The year 2000? It came out a long time ago, and it's so weird watching this, having seen and lived in a world where everyone had watched The Matrix. There's references everywhere in just pop culture that I would see and not know are from The Matrix. Just even this. I was like, oh my god, is that from The Matrix? I've seen that so many, how many times have you seen that shot? Matrix reference. The Matrix was fucking batshit. I was expecting something the whole time, but not the visual of the something we saw. The moment when he wakes up and there's like the plugs and the goop, and it was just like, oh, that was some dark shit, yo. And I was supposed to watch that when I was 9 years old. I think it was 1999. So literally 20 years later, I watched it. I would have been horrified. I would have been scarred by that scene as a 9-year-old. I'm so glad I didn't watch it back then. And it's fascinating to watch it now. I didn't love it. I'm not a huge fan of super plot-driven sci-fi-esque films. Like, it kind of felt like watching The Terminator or Aliens for me. Like, I'm never super attached to those films because there's not enough character development to, like, have me feel those attachments. It was good. I'm gonna give it a B, but I didn't love it. You guys are watching this like, how dare you? How dare you give the best movie of all time a B? The next movie I saw was Godzilla, King of the Monsters. So I went to see Godzilla because John really wanted to. He loved it. I was just like there, and it was fine. I was expecting it to be worse than it was. There was some semblance of a storyline. It was like a disaster movie meets Transformers, except the Transformers are monsters, which I prefer to the Transformers being robots. If you want to just watch a bunch of big monsters fight, you'll love this movie. I'll give it a B-. The next movie I watched this month was BOOKSMART! I was so excited for this film. It had such great reviews on Rotten Tomatoes, and then I saw it, and it did not disappoint. It was amazing. I had so much fun watching this movie. I actually can't wait to watch it again. Like, I gotta give it some time so I don't remember everything, and then watch it again and experience it again. I was told from a few people it started making me nervous they were comparing it to Lady Bird. And I was like, no. I didn't like Lady Bird. Lady Bird was not funny. Like, a comedy's funny. You know, Lady Bird was like sad funny. And it didn't have an overarching plot line. It was just like a slice of life. Sorry, I don't want to talk about Lady Bird, because I'm here to talk about Booksmart and how it's not like Lady Bird. Yes, one of the lead girls is in Lady Bird, but it's not like Lady Bird in terms of story structure, which is what was making me nervous. It's so good. I was just laughing my ass off and having the best time, and I cried, and it's just a story about these two best friends who are graduating high school and having to transition into this time where they're not going to be able to see each other every day anymore. And there's a motorcycle outside. I'm getting emotional just like thinking about it. You feel their journey so hard, and everything is great and hysterical, and at the same time so relatable and real. Their friendship was so beautiful. I loved both their storylines, and the actors were fantastic, and A+ to Booksmart. It was so good. So good! Olivia Wilde directed it, which is so exciting. What an amazing debut. Jessica Jones season 3 dropped this month. I didn't know it was happening, and then it happened, and I had to drop everything and watch Jessica Jones season 3. I did have a deadline for something, a writing thing, while this was going on, and I was like, how am I supposed to write when Jessica Jones is here? We go for a ride this season. It is rough on your heart. I don't think the season was as great as season 2, but it was still really good. It's a classic serial killer storyline that we're dealing with in terms of the big bad. It's a sadder season overall. And when it ended, it was sad knowing that we weren't getting any more Jessica Jones this last season. While they could do other seasons, it did have a final, you know, it had an end. I really love knockoff Nathan Fillion. I don't know this actor's name, but I've seen him around. It's like a slightly more handsome Nathan Fillion. You'll meet him when you watch it. His character was super interesting, and I really enjoyed the dynamic with Jessica. I could go for so many more seasons of this show. The next movie I watched this month was Isn't It Romantic, starring Rebel Wilson. I really enjoyed myself watching this. While the film wasn't hilarious, like making me cackle, it was really smart and made me really happy and giddy. It gave me all those rom-com feels in a new way. It's satirical and self-aware, and at the same time, it's super sweet. The last thing I watched this month, and I'm only 2 episodes in, but I have to talk about it, is Chernobyl. The miniseries on HBO. There are 6 episodes, and it is the most horrifying thing I've ever watched. But I have to keep watching it. It's so well done and well acted. The entire time I'm watching it, I'm just completely overwhelmed and terrified. It's not like watching your typical horrific event on TV in a scripted series. This happened, and I was not aware of the magnitude of how bad this catastrophe could have been. Like, it was already horrific. I mean, the show gets an A+ for the first 2 episodes. I'll report back once I finish on my final thoughts on the miniseries. My name's Christine. I make videos every Tuesday. My debut novel is out. It's called Again But Better. It's a coming-of-age rom-com about a 20-year-old girl in college having a hard time. She decides to study abroad in London. It's a fun, easy summer read. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time. Goodbye!